It's UFC Vegas 98. We are coming off of UFC 307, where a lot of people had some trouble because the card was sketchy. We had some rough officiating, we had some rough judging, but we were able to eke out a profit, so that's nice. But before we get into the UFC Vegas 98 card, a couple of things I want to announce, a couple of things I want to just bring back to light. A lot of people haven't noticed the things in the description lately. You haven't been down there lately. I get it. I just watch the video. That's what I do when I watch people's videos. But I want to remind you there are things in the description that might be beneficial to you, most of which being the Patreon. Why is that important? Well, it's where I place my bets. And we have this thing over there that is actually lower cost than the full package. It's just a Patreon parlay. You can get it for like $6 a month, or you can buy an individual. Patreon just started this thing where you can buy individual posts. You can buy an individual post for $3. That's the minimum price. They wouldn't let me go any lower. Otherwise, I would do less because I feel like $3 for one post is a bit much, but that's okay because it lets you dip your toes in the water for the Patreon parlay. The reason I'm putting that out there is because it's something it's relatively successful. I mean, we hit more often than not, according to my Bet MMA tips. My parlays are my best thing. Well, it's because of the Patreon parlay. So feel free to take a look at that. Links in the description for the Patreon, patreon.com/130MMA. So that's cool. Another thing, a couple of neat shows that are coming towards the end of the year for you guys. We're going to do an end of the year wrap up. Last year, at the beginning, I guess this year, it was technically the beginning of this year, we did a casual versus expert where my girlfriend and I got together and made our picks for who's going to be the champion at the end of the year. Well, we're going to do a holiday-themed wrap up to that, and we're going to kind of go over how we did, how our picks went, and then we're going to give out some kind of fun awards for some stuff this year that are like fake awards. Obviously, nobody's actually getting these awards because I don't know we're giving the UFC fighters. What am I do? Like just call up their agent, and be like, "Yo, can you give me their address so I can send this to them?" Let's talk how that works. So, we're going to give out some kind of joke awards. We're going to have a good time. And then the beginning of 2025, we're going to get together again, myself and my girlfriend, as well as Mr. and Mrs. K Picks, from Johnny K Picks channel, and we're going to do a prediction for the following with the four of us. So that'll be fun. So be sure to tune into those coming at the end of the year. I just wanted to build up some hype for those because I'm really excited for them. It's already October. I know you're like, what the heck? That's like way down the road. It's already October, guys. This year's flying by. But without wasting more time, let's go ahead and jump into the fights. We're going to breeze through a couple of these because a couple of them are kind of but there's some good ones later on. So stay tuned. Let's check them out. Fun flyweight fight between a couple of prospects. Clayton Carpenter takes on Lucas Rocha. 5-0 for Rocha in the last 5. 5-0 in the last 5 for Carpenter. Carpenter still undefeated at 7-0. We got 17-1 for Rocha. Now, in this fight, this is interesting to me because Rocha's coming off the Contender Series win last season. This is his first fight since, where he got dominated on the mat in the first round and then comes out and sparks the dude in the second round with a knee. So, for Rocha, good striker, very good striker, dangerous. He's got good volume, good combinations, and he works the body very well. His jiu-jitsu is good for getting him out of stuff, right? Because he finds himself in a lot of really bad positions, but he's able to fight his way out of these bad positions often. His takedown defense isn't the best, but he's able to fight his way back to his feet using his jiu-jitsu skills. That's what it is. This is jiu-jitsu skills to get back to his feet or get out of bad spots. When we look at Carpenter, this guy looks like a complete package, right? He's a solid striker. His kicks to all levels are good. His combinations are solid. Puts his punches and kicks together in combination, which is not something a lot of people do. Solid grappling, good takedowns. His submission arsenal is excellent. He has a knee bar finish. It was on the regional scene. He's up against the cage and he just like drops to the leg and gets this guy in a knee bar. It's nasty. I mean, I understand it was a regional fight, but still, that means the guy has the knowledge. Transitions are there. Back takes are there. This is going to see who the prospect is and who's going to kind of stay in the middle area, For me, I think it's Clayton Carpenter. I think this guy's a real deal. I think he's going to be able to do what Davy Bittencourt was doing to Rocha in the first round if he would like to. And I think because of that, I think he's going to be able to stay safe enough to do that for 3 rounds if need be or get a finish. So we're going to take Clayton Carpenter to be able to work takedowns and control Rocha. And I think that's what he's going to be able to do. And I think on the feet, it's close enough. So maybe even Carpenter wins out on the feet as well. Let me know what you guys think. And we got bantamweights. Dan Argueta takes on Cody Haddon. Haddon making a quick turnaround after his Contender Series win this season, actually. So this is quite the quick turnaround. For Haddon, he's 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Only the 1 loss in the career. We have an interesting 5-on-in for Argueta because 1 win, 2 losses, and 2 no contests. That's definitely strange considering he's got 2 losses on the career. Obviously, 2 of those coming in the last 5 fights. But the 2 no contests, one was Miles Johns popped for some sort of something on a post-fight drug test. And then the other one was the referee stepped in too early in the Ronnie Lawrence fight. Argueta was probably going to win that fight, but either way, there we go. So, kind of a weird 5-on-in for Argueta. When we look at these two, when I look at Cody Haddon, this guy's the real deal as a prospect from what I can tell. I mean, obviously, we haven't really seen, what he's going to do in the UFC because this is his debut, but he's looked good in everything so far. Solid striking. He works the body very well. Very good combinations, and he can mix up levels in combinations, just going high-low, things like that. Good head movement, good clean jab, tons of volume, and the leg kicks are nice as well. When it comes to grappling, he never accepts bottom position. This dude is constantly scrambling, creating space, getting back to his feet. He's got good transitions, very good submission defense, and offensively, he's got good takedowns and good ground and pound volume as well. This dude has cardio for days and just never stops. That could pose a problem for a guy like Argueta because Argueta, he's a good wrestler. He's relentless, very good takedown volume, decent control. If he can get to your back, he's got good control. Until then, sometimes it's a little trickier. He's got a good rear naked choke. And on the feet, decent striking. It's basically set up by his wrestling threat, and he's going to come forward with a lot of pressure. So if you're worried about the wrestling, the hands will land. However, Argueta slowed down in the past. Haddon is not going to slow down. This dude has cardio for days, and I think he's going to get a late finish here. I think the striking, Haddon is much better than Argueta. I do think Argueta is going to get takedowns, and I think he's going to be able to use those takedowns early on to maybe, win some minutes. But Haddon's hard to hold down, and I think that's going to wear out a guy like Dan Argueta, and I think Cody Haddon's going to be putting it on him in the volume and get the win. So we're going Cody Haddon here. I think he gets the win and cruises to a win in his first UFC fight. Let me know what you think. Some heavyweights up in this one, and before we break this down, I want to tell you guys ahead of time, stay away from this. Just watch this fight as a fan because this is nothing but red flags. Let's break this down. Chris Barnett, he's 38 years old, which isn't that bad for heavyweight, I guess, but he's 3-2 in his last 5. The other side, we've got a 28-year-old junior Tafa, the, I believe, younger of the 2 Tafas. He's 2-3 in his last 5, which is not a good look when you're 5-3 on the career. Here's the deal, guys. The couple of strikers. Grappling is both of their weak points. Definitely for Tafa, that's been evident as of recent, because every time the fight goes to the mat, he's got nothing. But Junior Tafa is a pretty good striker. He's kind of a kickbox. He competed in kickboxing, but mostly his boxing is what gets it done. He's got good boxing combinations, good power. He's durable. Leg kick defense is pretty poor, and he can get taken down pretty easy. On the other side, Chris Barnett. He's a good striker as well, but he's more of a kicker. Comes at Taekwondo background. His kicks are extremely dynamic. He can use spin kicks, things like that. Head kicks, leg kicks, body kicks, whatever. Good power, and he's very unorthodox, especially for a heavyweight, so there is that as well. He's extremely athletic for a guy that looks like a bowling ball, but that's kind of his game, right? He surprises people with that style and based on his appearance. Honestly, this is extremely hard to call, and the line suggests all the values on Barnett because, I mean, this dude's 5-3, and he's a big favorite. I understand that his boxing should be able to get it done over Barnett, and I so badly want to take Barnett to get just some, crazy finish on him. But I don't think he's going to grapple, and I do think that the boxing pressure of Tafa is going to be better. So I'm going to pick Tafa because we're just trying to pick winners in these videos, right? These are the picks. If you want bets, you go to the Patreon. So we're going to take Tafa, but he's like a -300 favorite, and the guy's 5-3, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. That is not a good look. You don't want to be betting a guy like that at -300 over anybody, especially somebody who has the danger factor of Chris Barnett, even though he's not super high level. I mean, he could spin a wheel kick you in the head, and that's it. You know what I mean? So we're going to take Tafa. I don't understand any confidence in it. I don't understand how we get there. But yeah, that's where we're at. Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Welterweight fight here where Niko Price takes on Themba Gorimbo. Gorimbo is 4-1 in his last 5 fights, 2-3 for Price. Price is the type of guy who is always exciting in his matchups, right? Whether he's winning or losing, the fight is going to be exciting. I take that back, except for the Cerrone fight where it was just like he poked him in the eye a bunch and it was that one kind of sucked. But other than that, Price has been exciting in just about every single fight that he's been in. When we look at this one here, Themba Gorimbo, good striking. He's more of a counter striker, but he comes forward while he does it. He controls the range extremely well. He's got really good power, and he's got solid kicks. In the grappling, I would say he's a good grappler, but it's really only offensively, because defensively, when he's on his back, he does struggle quite a bit. However, offensively, he's got decent takedowns. The ground and pound is solid. He's a bit submission over position, but he does have some decent submissions, and he can, if he wants to just control and stay safe, he has that ability. It's just a lot of times you see him try to go for submissions. In his last fight, I almost erased this, because in his last fight, he was very much position over submission, and if he sticks with that, I think he'll have more success. But historically speaking, he has been more submission over position. So we're going to leave this for one more time. We might get rid of it. We'll see. Fighters change, their stats, their abilities change, all that stuff. So for right now, we're leaving that, but it could change. For Niko Price, good striking. He's got plenty of power and plenty of volume, and he likes to make it a brawl. That is where this dude thrives. It's worked well for him in the past. He can get backed up doing this kind of stuff, but he's dangerous, right? And he's putting out the volume, and he's got the power to back it up. However, his striking defense isn't good, and his durability is starting to fade on him a bit. Now, I know he was able to win that Morono fight. Morono's not really a hard hitter. Like, he's not the guy that's going to put you out with one shot. Gorimbo could. Gorimbo's a powerful dude. So, I don't know about the durability. I question it. So, yeah. Good jiu-jitsu. He's very active from his back. He has the ability to reverse positions. And also, he's knocked people out from his back before, which is incredibly rare. Let's put it that way. It's rare. So, for Niko Price, he's got power from everywhere. He could catch Gorimbo. But other than that, I think Gorimbo is going to win this fight. So, we're going to take Themba Gorimbo. I think the reason he is such a big favorite is because he's much younger. He's up and coming prospect. He's not 2-3 in his last 5 like Price is. So we're taking Gorimbo. He should win, but yes, Price is dangerous and he could catch something. We're still going Gorimbo. Let me know what you think. I'll see you. Seems to be a grappler's delight in the featherweight division here between Pat Sabatini and Jonathan Pearce. Both these guys are 3-2 in their last 5 fights. Jonathan Pearce kind of recently remembered for that fight with Joe Anderson Brito, where he says, "Get up and do some," and then he gets choked out, which was pretty rough. It was something like that. But so Jonathan Pearce didn't look that great in that fight. I mean, he looked good up until then. Actually, he looked really good up until then. But you know, sometimes you're only remembered for the blunders that you have. So there is that. Pat Sabatini had a couple of rough knockout losses as of recent, and that's something that we got to be concerned about here as well. So let's break these guys down. For Pat Sabatini, the dude's grappling is very, very high level. This dude is solid. I would say he's probably the better pure grappler out of these two. He's got relentless wrestling. He'll chain his takedowns, good mat returns, the control. Once he gets you to the mat, you're not getting back up. Good scrambling ability. If he can take your back, it's over for you. That rear naked choke is right there. On the feet, it's decent, right? Obviously, the threat of the grappling really sets it up. He's got decent, basic combinations. He's 1, 2, 3, something like that. Just kind of sticks with the really like simplified, keeps it to the basic combos because he wants to get the fight to the mat. That's what he wants to do. But he can land if you let him. His problem is when he gets hit, he seems to get rocked, wobbled, and dropped a lot. That is a problem. Even before he started getting knocked out, he was getting wobbled and dropped before he'd be able to get the fight to the mat and then do what he needed to do there. So that is a big problem for him. Now, on the other side, Jonathan Pearce. Jonathan Pearce is not a power puncher, but it is when you're concerned about a guy's durability, sometimes you don't need to be a power puncher to get him out of there with that. So let's look at his wrestling first. He's got good wrestling. The takedowns are there. The volume of takedowns are there. Good ground and pound volume as well. In fact, that's one of his better weapons on the mat. He's got good scrambles, and he can also take the back and control from there. Good striking. He can fight from either stance. He's kind of kick heavy on the feet, but he's got good volume with the hands as well as the kicks. Defense isn't that great on the feet, but he is durable. Here's the deal. I think that the grappling favors Sabatini, and I think that the striking favors Pearce, but I think Pearce can hang in the grappling better than Sabatini can hang in the striking, because I think Sabatini is going to be worried about that durability, knowing he's coming off of a couple of pretty rough knockouts, and that I think Jonathan Pearce is going to have the advantage because Sabatini is going to be worried about getting knocked out. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be looking into this a little more than I think than Sabatini is as far as like the durability. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he is more confident in his chin than I am. Let's put it that way. I don't think that he will be. I think that's going to open up the shots for Pearce, and I think Pearce is going to be able to get it done, whether he wins a decision or gets the knockout. I think it's going to be because Sabatini is going to be a little hesitant with with his confidence level. Let's put it that way. We're taking Pearce. Let me know what you guys think. Love to hear from you in the comments below. Got a flyweight matchup here where CJ Vergara takes on the newcomer in Ramazan Tamirov. Tamirov is 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Only 2 losses on the career with 17 wins. Coming over from Ryzen. He's taking on Vergara, who's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. I believe he's 3-3 in the UFC, but he's had a pretty tough run if you look at who he's fought. The wins are against not the hardest, but like the guys he lost to are, I mean, pretty good guys in the division. So let's put it that way. For Tamirov, very much a forward pressure, like starts fast, come forward and throw bombs kind of fighter, right? Good striking. We're calling it good because it's a bit wild at times, but dude does it well. He's got these spin kicks that I do like, and if he lands them, like they're like a spinning back kick that's very nice. But the problem is spins do set you up to kind of get, you know, in a bad position. So I put that as a plus minus. So that's why his spin kicks are actually good. It's just even the best spin kick sometimes gives up your back. So let's put it that way. If the person counters it or like sees it coming, you know, that you're in just a really vulnerable position. But he's got a very heavy overhand. He's got plenty of power, and he just comes forward and bombs away. Does well with that. He can mix in takedowns as well if he needs to, but he doesn't. He's more of a strike first kind of guy. For Vergara, also a strike first kind of guy. He's got good striking, good forward pressure, puts together combinations. The body kick is probably his best weapon, I think, and I would say his durability is like a pretty good bonus. Dude can take a shot for sure. Decent clinch. The knees are really good. He doesn't have the best clinch control. He's got good knees from the clinch. Scrambles on the mat. Good there. It's about what he does on the mat is scramble. But his cardio and durability make him dangerous in every single fight. This is the fight you guys are probably going to call me a clown for, and everybody's going to talk shit in the comments. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and take CJ Vergara. Not because I think he's necessarily the better fighter, but what happens is Tamirov is going to come out fast. He's going to start fast, start swinging hard, throw bombs. Vergara's durable as heck. This is Tamirov's debut in the UFC. I could see him start to gas out, trying to get rid of Vergara. We've seen other people do it. I think Vergara's just going to be there and somehow pull it off. So we're taking Vergara as a massive underdog, or he's a pretty big underdog, let's be honest. So we're taking Vergara. If I get it wrong, so be it. But, you know, we're taking him. He's a big underdog. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the next one. Should be a fun striking match at welterweight between Jared Gooden and Chidi Njokuani. Now, Njokuani was typically a middleweight. He's now at welterweight, had his last fight at welterweight. Welterweight in the past as well, like way a long time ago, but it kind of didn't go well for him back then. He must have figured some stuff out, and now here he is. He's a big dude for the division. But he's down in welterweight now. He's fighting Jared Gooden. That's where we're at now. This is a well-matched fight based on the record. 23-10 versus 23-9. I like it. 3-2 in the last 5 versus 2-3 in the last 5. I like it. So let's break this down. Jared Gooden. Gooden is a solid striker with good volume, and he just pumps that jab out, that really long, straight jab. He's got good leg kicks. His head movement's pretty solid, but he does keep his hands kind of low. Thankfully for him, he's able to roll with a lot of punches, and he is durable if he does get hit. He's going to need it against Chidi, who it's pretty gosh darn hard. In the grappling department, Gooden is extremely hard to take down, and he works right back to his feet if he needs to. He does have decent takedowns of his own, but he prefers to stand and box with you. Now, for Gooden, he's mostly a boxer with leg kicks, right? That's what he wants to do. He wants to jab you up, land the leg kicks, start landing the power shots after he gets that stuff going. That's what he wants to do. On the other side, for Njokuani, it's very much more Muay Thai style. In Chidi Njokuani, solid striker. Excellent body kicks. They're devastating. He cuts his opponents with elbows. He'll come in, slamming elbows every which way. Does a really good job transitioning from full range into the clinch. And from the clinch, he's absolutely nasty with the knees and elbows. In the grappling department, his jiu-jitsu, he's got them choking arms, right? He's got like 80-inch reach or something like that. Like, dude's got long, skinny arms, slip right under that chin. That's how you choke somebody out. So, realistically on the feet, I think it's going to be a lot of power shots from both guys. A lot of really dangerous shots from both guys. And I'm actually going with the underdog in Jared Gooden, not because I think he's necessarily the more technical fighter, but I think he's got the more durability in the weight class, and I think he's got more ability, more staying power. I think he's going to last longer in the fight. I think Njokuani may start out really hot and then start to fade a little bit unless he's able to pace himself, but I don't think he can pace himself against a guy like Gooden. Could be wrong. It's a close fight. I might just watch this one because this is going to be a gosh darn fun fight. But I'm going to take Gooden. I'm a fan of both of these guys, so it's kind of hard to want to pick against either of them. But we're taking Gooden here. Let me know what you guys think. Definitely not my most prominent pick on the card, but I'm sure you've got some opinions. So let's hear them in the comments. Middleweights here, where Josh Fremd takes on Abdul Razak Alhassan. Alhassan is 2-2 in a no contest in his last 5. Looked like he was about to be 3-2, but he landed a bunch of back of the head shots, and that ended up being a no contest somehow. So that's interesting. Josh Fremd, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Yeah, it's kind of what it is. Fremd is much younger at 30 as opposed to 39 years old for Alhassan, and he is 6'4" as opposed to the 5'10" for Alhassan. So the age and height are definitely on the Fremd side. For Alhassan, there is definitely a significant advantage in, I would say, power. So when we look at Alhassan, good striker, tons of power, leg kicks are absolutely nasty, but the problem is his output fades in fights. As the fight goes on, when his cardio dips, his output also dips. He does have a bit of a judo background, good cage push, so offensively he can use that judo to wear on guys against the cage, and I think he's going to need to do that later in this fight if he doesn't get the finish early. But his takedown defense isn't very good, and that's surprising considering, you know, you would assume that he would have a good base from judo, but like a good sturdy base is what I mean. Not like a base skill set, but I mean a base as in like his base. But yes, takedown defense isn't great, and I can see that being a problem for him here. For Fremd, decent striker with decent power. Doesn't really do anything super impressive, but he's there. Dude's durable as heck. His defense isn't great, but he's durable as heck. Wrestling, decent wrestling as well. He's got decent top pressure, decent cage push. But the problem is when he shoots his takedowns, he does leave his neck wide open. I don't know that Alhassan's the guy to take advantage of that, but I suppose he could. I mean, the neck's there. You could grab it. This is tough. I feel confident Alhassan wins the first round at a high clip. I feel confident if it makes it to the third round, Fremd is going to look pretty good. It's the second round, or even if we get that far. I'm going to take Alhassan. I think he wins. I think he can win the first 2 rounds, and I think he also could get a finish early. But I think if he doesn't, that third round is going to be very scary, and he's going to need to just survive, and we could definitely see this fight go into a draw. So if you're the type of person that likes those big gambles and wants to play a draw, I could see 2 10-9 rounds for Alhassan and then a 10-8 in the third for Fremd. Or I could see a 10-8 in the first round for Alhassan and then 2 10-9s for Fremd, as Alhassan is just like barely able to do enough to just like keep it a 10-9, and then Fremd wins the next 2 rounds, but he totally gassed out at the first. So interesting fight. I think Alhassan's a better fighter, and I think he probably can get the finish. But if you're feeling wild, the draw is a play. We're taking Alhassan. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next. It's kind of looking like a PFL card with the way that they got these weight classes. It's pretty much welterweights and flyweights. And we have another welterweight fight here. So Daniel Rodriguez takes on Alex Morono. Both of these guys are 2-3 in their last 5. Both of them are grizzled veterans, been around for a while, later part of their careers. So it's a good match. It's a good matchup. I like this. For Morono, good striking. He's got good volume, good combinations, good leg kicks. He circles off really well. His problem is kind of that he just doesn't have a ton of power. He doesn't have a ton of like finishing upside on the feet. For the jiu-jitsu, he's very good there as well. He's got good scrambles. He jumps on submissions and transitions extremely well. So as the position is changing, he'll snatch something up and go from there. Takedown defense isn't great, and a lot of times he'll aid that by jumping for a guillotine. And he's also willing to work from his back. So those are a couple of things I don't really like so much for him, but I do think if this was a grappling match, I do think he's the better grappler out of the 2 here. For Daniel Rodriguez, good striker as well. Different style, though. I mean, you got Daniel Rodriguez is basically a boxer. That's what he's going to do. It's solid jab. The jab is money from Rodriguez. Good movement on the feet. He sticks to the basics, and he's got a ton of volume with that, mostly with that jab. But he'll put together combinations as well. But he sticks to good basic boxing combinations, and it works extremely well for him. In the grappling, he's decent there as well. He's got good front chokes. We did see him get choked out by Magny, but that was kind of a different thing where he kind of emptied the tank a little bit, and that Magny was able to take advantage of the fact that he was out of gas. And that's something Magny's done to people a lot. So it's not really a lack of skill in that. It was just a lack of energy left. So for me in this one, I'm going to go with Daniel Rodriguez. I think he's going to win on the feet. I think they're both good strikers, but I think he's going to have more volume, get that jab going. I think he's going to land the stiffer, cleaner shots. And a guy like Morono with that the great white, that pasty, pale complexion, it marks up really well. So in the eyes of the judges, his face is going to look a little more rough than a guy like Daniel Rodriguez who, you know, isn't quite as pasty. So we're taking Daniel Rodriguez to land a ton of jabs and piece up the face of Morono and go to decision. That's how I see it going. Let me know what you guys think. Strawweights next. Cory McKenna takes on Julia Polastri. Polastri's 4-1 in her last 5, 3-2 for McKenna. Interesting fight because the stylistic matchup is kind of, it's hard to, this is a hard one to predict. Let's put it that way. For Polastri, she's a good striker, good clean straight punches, plenty of power. The knees and the kicks are probably her best weapon on the feet though. Those kicks are very quick. I do like that. The grappling, her takedown defense is not the best, and that could be a big problem for her here. But she does have good offensive takedowns. If she does get taken down, she's active from her back. She's got good submissions. She attacks them well, good ground and pound, and she can scramble very well. So when we look at Polastri, she's pretty much good everywhere. Same thing from McKenna, but it's more meat and potatoes kind of thing. I've been using that phrase a lot. I don't know. Maybe I need to switch that up. Either way, McKenna, good striker. She's got good combinations, and she's really good at closing the distance. She does struggle at range because she's got the shortest arms probably of a human that's ever existed. But yeah, you know, of a full-grown human. Her arms are very short. So at range, she struggles a ton. But she does close that distance well, and she uses the combinations to do it, as well as the wrestling. And she does have good wrestling and powerful takedowns. More powerful than you would expect from a 115-pound female with tiny little T-Rex arms. She's got good top pressure as well. And we saw her get subbed in her last fight, but that's kind of what happens against someone with that level of jiu-jitsu when you try to take them down. It's like a thing that can happen, right? This one is tricky because either girl could win. And I think that the reason that either girl could win is because if Polastri keeps it on the feet at range, she's winning. If it's in the pocket, I think McKenna's going to do well. Like up against the cage, you know, dirty boxing maybe, she could do well. In the grappling, whoever gets on top is going to have a lot of success. I do, and you can't trust McKenna to make the right decision either because she's made, I mean, it's hindsight, so we're looking at it from a different lens, but in hindsight, she's made a lot of poor decisions in fights. I'm going to take McKenna to grind out a decision, but I would not bet her. I would not bet that money line. If you want to play the point spread, I don't know what that's going to end up being, but that might be a play because realistically, I think we can count on her to survive and win a round. But even that makes me nervous. Stay away, guys. Crack open a nice cold root beer. Kick your feet up on the coffee table and enjoy this fight. I'm going to enjoy this fight. I think it's going to be fun and action-packed. I know a lot of people won't because it's women's MMA and they think that those all suck, but I don't agree. This should be a fun fight. Both ladies do get after it with a high-pressure, high-volume kind of style. So we're taking McKenna, not McKenny. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll see you in the next one. Up next, Grant Dawson takes on Rafa Garcia. Both these guys 4-1 in their last 5 fights. Interesting fight here. Garcia, we haven't seen him in a while, right? But when we did see him last we knew he was a good striker, decent power, worked the body pretty darn well, and he's durable as heck. Now, in the wrestling, he's got pretty good wrestling as well. He's got good takedowns, but he does fade as the fight goes on, especially if you make him wrestle. If he stays in the striking, he'll last a little bit longer, and that's probably what he wants to do here because he's going to have the advantage there. He's going against Grant Dawson. Grant Dawson is an absolutely top-level grappler. This dude chain wrestles very well. His volume of takedowns is there. His scrambles are excellent. If he takes your back, that's it. You're not getting this guy out of there. He's staying on your back until either the end of the round or he subs you, and that's what's going to happen. His control from the back is just top tier. There's nobody better at it in the UFC as far as I can tell. Now, that's just for specifically back control. I mean, there's other guys that are probably better grapplers in the UFC, but maybe not very many. Like, there are some. There are definitely some. Maybe not very many. Grant Dawson's grappling is fantastic. Striking, on the other hand, he's got a good leg kick. The wrestling threat will let the hands open up a little bit. There are durability concerns because he got knocked out by Bobby Green, but that was kind of like he caught him cold, and it was early in the fight. And, you know, sometimes just the right punch. You know what I mean? I don't know necessarily if he's got durability concerns. It's not like he's been knocked out a bunch. Like, he's got 2 losses on his whole career. So, you know, take it for what you will. I think that was just more of a perfect punch at the right time early in the fight when he was still cold. That's what I think, but I could be wrong. I do think that Grant Dawson's able to wrestle here. I think he's able to get this fight to the mat, and I think Garcia's in for a lot of trouble. So we're going to take Grant Dawson pretty confidently to get this win. I think he's going to get the back, and I think he's going to stay there until he either gets the finish or controls to a decision. Let me know what you guys think. Next, Brad Tavares takes on Jun-Young Park. And if you remember this was booked, I don't know, 4 months ago or so, and fight didn't end up happening. I believe it was on the Park side that pulled out. I don't remember exactly why, but either way, it's been quite some time. Park's 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He's fighting Brad Tavares, who is 2-3 in his last 5. This should be interesting because both guys kind of have good counters to their opponent's skill sets, right? For Jun Park, dude's a good striker. He's got a really solid just jab and a ton of volume to go along with it. His dirty boxing's really good, but he sometimes ends up in a brawl, which is not really what he's best at, but because his striking defense isn't great, but he is durable enough to do it, and if he does get in these brawls, sometimes he can end up winning the fight just because, he's probably going to have better output than a lot of his opponents. His grappling is where he's best, though. Takedown defense is good. The cage push is good. He can control opponents up against the cage. If he gets the fight to the mat, then that back take is there, and the rear naked choke. He had like a stretch of like 4 rear naked chokes in a row, so the guy's clearly got a good rear naked choke. Problem with his rear naked choke, though, is he's getting it over lower level guys in the UFC, but they're still UFC guys. On the other side, for Brad Tavares, he's a good striker as well. Good combinations, good leg kick, also extremely durable. The problem is he kind of lacks that killer instinct. He doesn't really go for the finish very often. He kind of just does what he needs to do to, land his shots, and he's content to just be there and not try to finish the fight every time. Counter wrestling is excellent. His takedown defense is very, very high level. So for that, I think it's going to eliminate the grappling of Park, at least for the most part. It doesn't mean that Park couldn't get a cage push situation going, but I do think that he's not going to be able to get the takedowns over a guy like Tavares. Now, on the feet, I think the volume of Park is probably going to be a bit better, but a guy like Tavares, who is extremely durable, and if you try to make it a brawl with him, you could end up looking like the worst fighter. So it's a tricky one to call. Ultimately, I'm going to go with Jun Park to win a volume-based decision, mixing in the cage push when he can and dirty boxing there. But I think Tavares is alive for this one. I like the over better than anything. I know it's a little bit juiced, but we're taking Jun Park. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in the next one. We got a flyweight main event here, folks. If you haven't done it already, maybe you found this video useful, maybe you're enjoying yourself, do me a favor, like the video. It does help me a lot. I appreciate it, and it doesn't cost you anything. Let's go ahead and break down this main event while you're going down there and liking the video, would you? So let's break this down. Both guys are kind of at different points in their career. So Brandon Royval, he's been there. He's fought for the title. He's fought the who's who of the division. He's 4-1 in his last 5, and the loss is to the champion. So there's that. Tatsuro Taira, on the other hand, is still coming up. 16-0 in the career. Obviously, he's undefeated at 5-0 in the last 5. The guy's looked pretty good. He's had a few moments where his opponents have had some success, but for Taira, obviously he's come out on top in every single one of his fights, and that's really impressive. And I think this matchup is going to be difficult to predict because both of these guys have some serious paths to victory. Both of them do. So that's interesting. And Taira's a big favorite, or a decent-sized favorite. I get it. Guy's undefeated at 16-0, as opposed to 16-7 for Royval. But when you look at 16-7 as opposed to 16-0, you also have to look at the level of competition. Royval has fought the best in the world. 2 of those losses coming to the champion. No shame in that. The champion, Alhassan Pantoja, the dude has looked great. So there is that. Now, when we break these guys down skill for skill, let's start on the Tatsuro Taira side. Dude is a strong grappler with a very large toolbox on the mat. He works to advance his position extremely well. He's got very good takedown entries to get the fight to the mat so he can advance said position. He looks for the submission, and he's very quick to attack those submissions. His body lock takedown is pretty good. That's probably his best way to get the fight to the mat. He likes to take the back, whether that be standing or on the ground, and his control is very, very good. If he gets the fight to the mat and starts to use his control, he could win a decision using that. Because if we look at Brandon Royval, his takedown defense, we're not going to spend all our time here. I just want to point this out really quick. His takedown defense isn't great, but he is hard to control. So that could be interesting. We'll know very quickly if Taira is going to be able to control Royval for extended periods of time. And if we find out that he's able to lock down a guy like Royval, we'll know pretty quickly that Taira's got a good likelihood of winning. But if we find out that he is struggling to keep him controlled, that's where he's going to start getting worn out trying to fight against a guy like Royval who just never stops doing stuff. And we're going to cover that again in just a minute, but I just wanted to make some clarity there. In the striking department for Taira, he's a good striker. He's got good long straights. He uses them to set up his takedowns. He's got a good calf kick, and he's got a really good flying knee off of a takedown feint where he comes here and then just leaps into the flying knee. He's only used it a few times, but it looks very clean. He clearly practices it. So when he does do it, it's nice. On the other side for Brandon Royval, Good striker, likes to make things chaotic. Tons of volume, tons. If he misses some shots, doesn't care, just keeps coming. Good variety of attacks, mixes everything together extremely well. His knees and elbows are some of the better weapons because, like, knees and elbows are hard and they're not covered by a glove. So there's that. He makes fights into a brawl, and he's very kill or be killed on the feet, and that is probably what's going to be the best thing for him, because if he can make this fight really ugly, Taira's going to start shooting for takedowns in a way that maybe isn't what he wants to do. He might have to shoot these takedowns in a less than advantageous position. And a guy like Royval is extremely dangerous on the mat as well. He attacks the submissions aggressively. He's very quick on them. He's got a large submission arsenal, and he is submission over position, so that could be good or bad, but it's good in the fact that he's going to force a shot out of Taira, most likely, and if he forces a shot, he can catch somebody in a submission from there. Scrambles are extremely good. We've said his takedown defense isn't the best, but he's always working on the mat. He's never stopping, never slowing down. This is a fight where I really have a hard time picking who's going to win this fight. If we're looking at a bet, I don't mind the shot on decision no action for Royval, because I feel like if it's a decision, I feel like we got a lot of control time out of Taira, and he's able to win that way. Could Royval win a decision? Sure. But I think Royval is definitely looking for a finish, and I think his style lends to a finish. Could Taira finish Royval? Yep, Royval's been finished before. But at the same time, I think what Taira's going to want to do is get that control, slow it down, fight at his pace. And he definitely can do that against a guy like Royval, who does end up getting controlled a decent amount in his fights, even if he's making them work. It's tough. I keep going back and forth on this one. I've switched my pick multiple times. It would probably be better for the division if Taira was able to win this, because the guy's 16-0. That would get him 17-0 with a win over a top 5 fighter, someone who's just recently fought for the title and win all 5 rounds. That would be really good for the division. That said, Royval is extremely dangerous and could definitely get this win. I also don't like what's been going, because I believe Royval is a Factory X guy, or was a Factory X guy, but there's some stuff going on with that gym right now. And I don't know if I like that either. So I hate this. I'm gonna go with Taira to get a control-based decision. That's what I'm gonna do. If I change this pick, I'll let you guys know. It might change. This one's so tough. I don't recommend betting on this fight. Just watch this one. It is, like I said, the decision no action maybe, but even then, I don't know. This is a really tough one. This is the hardest fight to predict, just because of everything that we know and then also don't know about these two fighters. But let me know what you have. Are you convicted about one side? Do you think somebody's going to get this one done for sure? How do you feel about it? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below, and I will see you next time.